Jay, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Dr. Wazan.
It's been a while.
It has been a little while. Wanted to come in today because I wanted an opportunity to talk with you a little bit about your most profitable patient base and then probably the two biggest opportunities for your practice to grow.
Okay.
You know, that's kind of why I set up the 10 or 15 minutes today. Is that still roughly about the time that we have?
Sounds great.
Okay. So when you think about your most profitable patients, who do you think they are?
I'm not sure.
So I wasn't sure either, and actually it's been something that the industry has talked about over and over again in terms of in terms of looking at data on it. And actually we finally got something. So ABB, you use ABB for your...
I've been using them for years.
So ABB actually came out with a release of some industry insights. I don't know if you saw this in contact lens spectrum. So in contact lens spectrum, one of the things they talked about is a multifocal fit typically drives 52% more dollar margin compared to the equivalent spherical fit.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me see that.
Pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah.
So here's this huge amount of patients that are very profitable to the practice, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So then there's this other contact lens spectrum. When you take a look at that graph, what stands out to you?
I mean, dropping off right around that 30-34 range. I would have thought it would have been later in life.
Yep. So where is 35 to 40? What's typically happening?
I guess they're hitting presbyopia.
Yep. So here's this extremely profitable patient base that now, as they head into the years where they're going to be the most profitable for your practice, and they're falling out of contacts. So why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's not a lot of great presbyopic contact lens options out there. I think we're good, not great. So a lot of those patients end up just moving into spectacles, or I guess according to that data, they don't even stay in their distance lenses.
Yep.
They end up just going to glasses.
Yep, absolutely. So one of the biggest things that I've heard, and if you looked at that graph, one of the things it talked about was dryness, right?
Yeah.
So you hear that over and over as patients get older, dryness becomes bigger, and more of an issue.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to dryness in just a second. Before we get there, so what is your strategy around presbyopic patients?
So I typically, I ask them if they're interested in contacts.
Yep.
If they're not already in contacts, I ask them if they're interested in contacts, and if they are, we talk about monovision, we talk about multifocals, and typically kind of just make the decision together what the best option for them is. But I tend to lean more towards multifocals.
Okay, so multifocals is kind of the way you want to go with it.
Yep.
It's good to keep them binocular. So when you say every presbyopic patient sits down in your chair is offered a contact lens?
No, not an 80-year-old.
Okay, well, no, absolutely, I agree with that. There comes a certain age, but the vast majority in that 40 to 60 range?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think that you are ahead of the curve or behind the curve when it comes to the overall market?
You know me, I'm ahead.
Absolutely.
I always am. Yep.
And I agree with you. So if you are offering that, because what do you think in terms of a nationwide perspective of all your brothers and sisters in optometry, what do you think is the percentage that are of presbyopic patients that are actually offered a contact lens of any sort?
In my practice or my friends?
All around the country.
Probably 20.
So that's a little bit high. Would it surprise you to know that 91% of those presbyopic patients that come in and sit in chairs all over the country, only 9% of those are offered a contact lens?
Wow.
So 91% of them come in that are presbyopic and are never offered any type of contact lens.
Wow.
So we'll talk about that and some ways maybe we can look at upgrading those patients. And the other thing I do want to talk about in the back end of that is the other huge opportunity for growth, which is millennials.
Okay.
Which is another big growth percentage to you. So what is your multifocal of choice right now?
So I like Air Optics. Been fitting it for a while and works okay.
Okay. So when Air Optics fails, what's typically your chief complaint?
So, I think it's typically the same thing you do with any multifocal. You tweak their near, they complain, tweak their distance, they complain, but also it's just a lot of chair time, and I don't charge that much more here for a multifocal patient versus a spherical patient. So it's $20 more, so that doesn't account for the extra 2 to 3 visits that it may take to get that right. So time is a big one, but also just a general lack of clarity at distance and or near.
Okay, so you're seeing the patient back 2, 3, sometimes more in order to get them properly fit?
Usually 2 to 3, yeah.
Okay, so 2 to 3. So having a lens that gives clear vision, that's easy to fit and cuts down your chair time is important.
Yep.
Okay. So let's talk first about the dryness thing. So the main reason that behind patients falling out of contact lenses is dryness, correct? So what do you remember about the Ultra material? I know that you've been fitting the sphere pretty successfully for a while.
I just remember that it's good for patients that have dry eye. And I think you said that it's a little bit like Oasis in some ways, but in a monthly.
Yep, pretty close. So the big takeaways here, Moisture Seal technology. I know we talked about this, but I just want to touch on it briefly because, again, as you talk about those presbyopic patients and dryness being the biggest issue that they run into in terms of falling out, the thing that I want to remind you is the fact that with Moisture Seal technology, which is a two-phase process in which we take a unique silicone backbone to be able to create that high DK over T and surround it with polyvinyl pyrrolidone, PVP. I know that you mentioned Oasis. They call it HydroClear. So it's a water-loving polymer. We're able to grow it around and through that silicone backbone. What it does is retains 95% of its moisture throughout the day.
Okay.
What that means for your patients is the fact that this lens is going to be as comfortable at the end of the day as when they put it in.
Okay.
So again, as you're trying to combat that dryness, this is the lens that's going to allow you to do that.
Okay.
So I know you talked about kind of the properties that you saw, and you said that it was similar in terms of what's out there with Oasis, and I think that in terms of edge design, you're absolutely spot on with that. We do have a very thin tapered edge, which again, for lid interaction, means that patient isn't going to feel anything.
Okay.
And with the low modulus and the high DK over T that we talked about, it means that it's a very soft lens, again, leading to comfort for the patient, and the high DK over T means that you're going to have those healthy white eyes that you like to see when you're looking at it through the slit lamp.
Great.
Awesome. So this is a lens material that's absolutely spot on target to what you're looking for right now.
Okay.
Take a look at the lens that you're fitting right now in terms of material. So Air Optics Aqua, which is the Air Optics multifocal. What year was that lens launched?
2004.
Yep. So that is how long ago?
Long time ago.
Yep, 12 years. 12 years. Lots changed in 12 years. The other thing I want you to look at is the fact that we just talked about our thin tapered edge that leads to very little lid interaction, correct?
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the Air Optics edge, and what do you see?
It just does not look comfortable to me. And my patients do complain now that you bring it up.
Okay.
I do hear comfort issues with that one sometimes.
Yep. And it's not going to happen all the time. The one thing I've found in the presbyopic community is the fact that if the vision's really good, or if the vision is passable, they're willing to deal with a little bit of comfort. What I will tell you is the fact that if you want to give them the wow, imagine giving them the vision that they're expecting and then make it comfortable on top of that.
Yeah.
So that's really what Ultra for presbyopia is about. And now that we've talked kind of about the comfort side and why this is great for dryness, let's talk about the design of the lens itself in terms of the vision, right?
Okay.
So
We kind of went through this last time. So you're talking about the 3-zone progressive?
Yep, 3-zone progressive design is a huge part of that.
Okay.
So I do want you to realize the fact that we actually take this beyond just pupil size and standard refraction. We actually took into account some other things, including higher order aberration, axial length, and residual accommodation. What that means is the fact that I just want you to realize that the science behind this lens goes beyond just saying, we're going to put on eyes that they can see, it's okay. Like, we made it to the point where this is a breakthrough lens.
Okay.
So 3-zone progressive design, you talked about that. What do you remember?
You said something about flat zones.
Yep, absolutely. Flat is more focused, right? So what we did was we actually took the basic concept of a sphere lens, right? So a sphere lens, no matter how it rotates or where it goes, it's a -3. So a -3 lens is a -3 wherever it goes through, right? So it's focusing the light on a single spot, which makes it very easy for the brain to pick up and actually makes it very easy for you to focus that light on the macula, correct?
Yep.
That's why it's easy to fit. That's why it takes very little chair time to do so. So you talked about chair time and making this important. We actually did that across all 3 zones. So as you can see, those flat zones create 3 very distinct pictures, whether they're looking at their iPhone, whether they're looking at their computer screen, or whether they're looking at the road signs as they're driving down the road.
Okay.
What that means is the fact that your patients, as they stare at it, are going to have a very easy time picking up the clearest image, which means it's not going to take them as long to accommodate to this lens.
Okay.
What you're fitting right now, and let's be honest, Air Optics works, right? You've been fitting it successfully for some time. You said that your chief complaint that usually is vision, that it's fuzzy, you have to play around with it a lot, it takes extra chair time in order to get there, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's take a look at that exact same graph on the lens that you're fitting right now, right?
Okay.
So what do you see that kind of stands out with that?
Lots of variance within the zones, and also it really sticks out how far off their distance power is.
Yep. So there's two things that come out of that. Number one is the fact that they're relying on their reduced accommodative power to be able to pull those images in, which means it's going to take them longer to accommodate to it, and it's also going to lead to those fuzzy images that you probably hear them complain about all the time, right?
Yeah.
So what we've been able to do, again, as you look at ours, we have those clear images across all three. The other thing is the fact that as you look at their fit guide, what's the first thing they tell you to push?
Plus.
Yeah, absolutely. You know why?
What?
Because if you look at -3 at distance, which this line across here shows a -3 lens at distance, it's not a -3. So you have to push plus in order to make this lens work at distance.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at ours again. So as you look at ours at -3, it's a
Spot on.
-3. So what that means is the fact that this is going to make it an extremely easy lens to fit. So based upon that, I know we talked about the fit guide briefly the last time through. Let's say you have a -250 OU patient with a +1 ad. They sit down in your chair. What are you grabbing?
-250 OU, high ad.
Nope. So let's take a look at the fit guide. And by the way, if you follow this fit guide, practitioners 80% successfully
I'll believe it when I
fit.
see it, but
Absolutely. But just think of the impact if you get 4 out of the 5 patients that sit down in your chair that are successfully fit the first time in your office.
All right. So what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, let's take a look at the simplified fitting guide. So if you look at, again, that -250 OU patient with a +1 ad, you're pulling a -250 low.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So let's say that patient sits down, they're the -250, you put them in low, and they say, you know what, everything's good, but I'm just not quite seeing clear at distance. What would you do?
I'd probably throw a little plus into their non-dominant, or maybe even OU.
So I'm going to ask you to forget the way you've always fit your lenses.
Okay.
Because if you fit this the way you just talked about, you're going to fail with this, and I'm going to come back in, you're going to tell me my lens doesn't work.
Okay.
If you follow the fit guide, like I said, we're saying 80%, which is 4 out of 5 are going to hit the front door. I'm going to see if that happens inside your 4 walls. So as you have that, so again, you said, I just talked about the patient, he said he's not quite doing well at distance, you already got him in low, -250, right? So now we're going to go to a sphere lens in the dominant eye.
Okay.
This is a little bit different, so you're almost going to a modified monovision with this. Because our lens is so spot on at distance, what we're going to ask you to do is once you get the plus right, or once you get the distance right, which is pulling their sphere equivalent, now we're not going to mess with the sphere anymore.
Okay.
We're just going to play with the ads along the way in order to get that right.
Okay.
So this is a very easy lens to fit. We have the 2 ads in order to be able to make it so simple that you're able to fit those patients successfully on the first visit.
Okay.
And based upon that, I mean, how many presbyopic patients are you seeing in a week?
Oh gosh, very presbyopic around here. Probably, 2 or 3 a day.
Okay, so you're seeing 2 or 3 a day. What do you think of this lens? Do you think this lens is truly an upgrade?
Yeah, I got to try it.
Okay, so you want to give this a shot. Mm-hmm. So, are we going to do lens of choice now?
Not quite.
Why not?
Well, once I see it works, then I'll do lens of choice.
All right, so let's talk about this from the standpoint of over the next, what's today? Today is Thursday. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing 2 to 3 a day. You're open 6 days a week.
Yep.
So let's, over the next 3 or 4 days, because have you ever heard of the habit loop?
Never.
Okay, so there's this book out there called The Habit Loop, and it talks about changing habit, whether you're trying to stop drinking coffee, stop smoking, lose weight, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So do you know how long it takes to change a habit? 21 days.
Wow.
21 days. So 21 days from now, I'll be back anyway, because I'm back in roughly about 3 weeks.
Okay.
I fully expect that we're going to be able to change this habit within that 21 days. But do you know that they say is the most important part of those 21 days?
What?
First 72 hours.
Okay.
So, based upon the fact that the 72 hours are the most important part of those 21 days, and that you agree that on paper that this is an upgrade for your patients, so you want to change that habit, correct?
Yep.
So let me help you with that. Over the next 2 to 3 days, we're talking roughly about 10, 12 presbyopic patients. Mm-hmm. How about you put this on every one of them, and we track the progress of that?
Okay.
Okay. And then in order to follow up with that, again, that 72 hours, let's call it Monday, because I know you're not here on Sundays. So on Monday, how do you like to communicate? Are you an email guy? Are you a text guy? Like, what's the easiest way?
Text is usually best.
Okay, so text is what I do as well. How about I send you a text on Monday and you can give me some feedback? Is that fair?
Sounds good.
All right, so let's get your cell phone on that.
All right, Sally, how am I doing on patients? I think I got one in about 5 minutes.
Okay, so in the last 5 minutes, I know that we kind of talked a little bit about growing your practice with the other side of the base, which is the millennials.
Yep.
So what lens do you think most millennials are prone to?
You mean which?
Yep, what modality?
Daily disposable.
Daily disposable seems to be where the market's headed.
Yeah, we're trying to do more of those in our practice.
And what's your strategy?
Yeah, so we're still figuring that out, to be honest. We're probably around 20% now. We'd definitely like to be higher, but we just kind of have hit a lull.
So, are you offering it to patients? Like, what, as you sit down in the chair, where does daily disposables fall into your?
Yeah, so typically I'll start kids, and then anyone who's having any type of comfort issue at all will go into daily disposables.
Okay. And where's your price point on that?
For which lens?
For dailies. For what's your lens of choice?
So I like Dailies Aquifer Plus.
Okay.
Been fitting it for a long time, and it's affordable and all that. Nice socks, by the way. Nice socks, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Very affordable. And I just like going that route. I like going that route. I've been fitting Alcon products for a long time, so I just like going that way.
Okay. So what's your standpoint? Because we talked about kind of new technology when it comes to presbyopia. What's your standpoint in new technology and offering the newest technology to your patients overall?
All for it. You know me. I like to always put my patients in the newest and latest and greatest.
Yep. So I agree with that. The one thing I will challenge you on is the fact that as you talked about that, when was Dailies Aqua Comfort Plus put out? When was the material?
I'm not sure.
So let's take a look at that. So Dailies Aqua Comfort Plus was launched in when? 1996.
Wow. Okay.
Let's let that resonate for a second. So 1996. So as you talk about the newest technology, do you think 1996 or do you think 2012?
2012.
Right. So as I look at your office with your Optos Daytona out there, as you have all the newest equipment, as you've have this beautiful lobby area, as you're trying to drive patients in to tell this message about how you love to offer them the latest and greatest, and then you sit them down in the chair, and when you are moving them up into a daily disposable, which is where the market's headed, you're putting them in a lens material from 1996.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. I understand what you're saying.
So based upon that, and again, as you look at the overall optics and everything else that comes along with Biotrue OneDay.
Yeah, I really haven't ever really fit this lens, so I don't know much about it.
All right. So
give me a nutshell. It's only got 2 minutes. Give me in a nutshell.
And I can give you the 30-second pitch on this, which is the fact that the same thing we talked about with Moisture Seal technology, which is moisture retention on the lens in order to make sure that patients don't run into end-of-day dryness.
Yeah.
Welcome to Biotrue OneDay as well.
Okay.
They do it a little bit different way with a surface active technology that keeps moisture on the lens.
Okay.
So it's a 78% water content lens, which typically what has happened historically is that high water content lenses dehydrate.
Okay.
What we were able to do is figure out a way to create a dehydration barrier while making it 78%, which is also the same water content as the cornea. We're able to keep that moisture on the lens throughout the day. What I mean by that is the fact that we actually did an out-of-eye test on this, in which we set this thing out on a countertop. 20 minutes later, they came back and they took a look at it. So the two things that stand out to me, number one is the fact this is an out-of-eye test, so who actually would do this? I don't think they actually did it on purpose. It just so happened to show that way. The second thing is the fact that Dailies Aqua Comfort Plus looks like a potato chip, right? Mm-hmm. So when you look at the slit lamp, you don't see it that way, correct?
No.
So that means that moisture is coming from somewhere in order to keep the shape of that lens.
Wow.
So if it's on the eye, where do you think it's pulling that moisture from?
I guess from the lens.
Correct. So it's pulling moisture from the eye, which means that it can lead to that end-of-day dryness.
Okay.
We don't have that problem.
Okay.
So again, from a standpoint of the newest technology in terms of the material that's out there, in terms of the dehydration barrier, which allows for that lens not to dehydrate throughout the day, this is a true upgrade for your patients. Where do you have it priced at? Do you know?
I think we're at 75 right now.
Okay. And where do you have DACP priced at?
At 60.
Okay. So I want you to just think about the fact from the standpoint of profit. If you were able to upgrade those patients into it and still have them pay roughly about the same, don't you think that would be a benefit to your patients and your practice?
Absolutely.
So this is what I'm asking you to do, is the fact that based on that $60 price point with DACP, and what you're making in terms of profit, I have a program right now where if you're willing to commit to the point of making this your lens of choice and start offering it to patients, I can get you inventory pricing without necessarily having to have that physical.
Oh, I don't know if I'm ready to make it. I haven't even tried it yet, Jay.
Okay.
Let me try it, and then we'll talk about it.
So we're going to try this out, and I'll follow up with you on this in that same 72 hours on Monday.
All right, we can do that. I'll throw it on Small Comfort Plus patients and see what they think, or maybe I'll do like a Pepsi challenge with a few patients and see what they think.
I can tell you it's going to knock it out of the park.
All right, I believe it.
All right, well, I appreciate
I got to roll.
Okay, well then I'll let you get to your patient. Look for my text on Monday, and we'll follow up soon.
Great, sounds good.
All right, see you.
All right, nice job. So one more thing I want you to do now real quick. We're using this. If you could just show real quick how you navigate, it was hard sometimes to see how you navigate that app, the new app. Just kind of show, just use your finger to kind of point around a little bit. Just kind of how you, like as you're going through that role play, how you, so go for it.
Okay, so
Point it towards me a little bit.
the Porfolio app handles the presbyopic opportunity and the millennial.
Okay.
It actually goes to this screen, which then allows you to pop into the 3-zone progressive design just by clicking on that,
Okay.
which brings you into the part where we talked about the key biometric variables, and then into the 3-zone progressive design, competitive comparisons. Actually, Air Optics Aqua pops up first if you want to see biofinity.
Perfect.
You can click on there. And then you come over into this screen, which allows for the simplified fitting guide, which again is you just click right on that. If you
Okay.
want to refine it, you can go from there.
Now how do you get back to the main menu?
So you get back to the main menu by clicking down here in the left, and then Biotrue OneDay is that. And you can go either into the presbyopic or the sphere that way. And from there it goes into here. Brain comparisons are just down across the bottom. There's some radio buttons that allow for.
Was this still within the Porfolio app?
No, so this is the actual Biotrue OneDay Sphere app.
That's what you're using, okay.
Yep.
So go back and let's see what's in the Porfolio app on Biotrue OneDay. Is there anything?
So surface active technology is in here.
Okay.
3-zone progressive design, because again, this is built
So let's go ahead
much
and
the
press on
same
Surface
way,
Active. Yeah. Okay.
which is just like the one that's in that Sphere app.
Keep flicking. Okay, yeah, so it's the same thing. So you actually could have done this all within the app. How do you navigate back to the main menu? Try pressing that home button and see. Within the Porfolio app. Go to the Porfolio app.
Portfolio app.
Yeah. And then try. There's got to be an easy way to get back to.
To what?
To that main menu with the 3 points on both lenses. Flick one more time. Like that screen. Because that's really like your base, you know?
So I think it's the products.
Oh, okay. So you said
So
products.
there's a products tab
Perfect.
down there if you want to go to moisture shield technology and surface active technology. Yeah. So everything is down here across the bottom in radio buttons as well.
Okay, so you can either go. Okay, got it. All right. Thanks, Jet.
Yep.